The Goose Girl. Once upon a time there lived an old queen whose husband had died many years earlier. She had a beautiful daughter, a princess. When the princess grew up, she was promised in marriage to a prince who lived far away. When the time came for her to leave for his kingdom, the old queen packed many precious gifts for her daughter, vessels of gold and silver, jewelry, cups, and many treasures fit for a royal dowry, because she loved her daughter deeply. She also assigned a chambermaid to travel with the princess and safely deliver her to the prince. Each of them was given a horse for the journey. The princess's horse was named Falada, and he could speak. When the moment of departure came, the old queen went into her chamber, pricked her finger until it bled, and let 3 drops of blood fall onto a white cloth. She handed the cloth to her daughter and said, "Take good care of this, for it will protect you on your journey with tears in their eyes." They said goodbye. The princess placed the cloth in her bosom, mounted her horse, and began her long journey. After traveling for some time, the princess became terribly thirsty. She asked her chambermaid to fetch water from a nearby brook. "Dismount and take my cup and bring me some water from the brook, for I would like a drink." But the chambermaid rudely replied, "If you are thirsty, get off your horse yourself and drink. I will not be your servant." The princess, humble and gentle, said nothing. She got down, leaned over the brook, and drank the water. As she drank, the drops of blood in the cloth whispered, "Oh dear princess, if your mother knew this, her heart would break in two later." When the day grew hotter, the princess became thirsty again. They came to another stream. Once again she asked her maid to fetch water, but the chambermaid refused and said harshly, "If you want a drink, get it yourself. I will not serve you." So the princess dismounted again and bent down to drink. As she leaned forward, the cloth with the 3 drops of blood slipped from her dress and floated away in the water. The princess did not notice, but the chambermaid saw it and secretly rejoiced. Without the magical protection, the princess had lost her power. With cruel words, the chambermaid ordered, "Take off your royal clothes and give them to me." The princess was forced to exchange her royal garments for the maid's shabby clothes. Then the chambermaid said, "Swear before heaven that you will never tell anyone at the royal court what has happened." The princess sadly swore the oath. The false bride mounted Falada, the royal horse, while the true princess had to ride the maid's poor horse. Eventually they arrived at the royal palace. There was great celebration. The prince came forward, lifted the false bride from her horse, and welcomed her warmly, believing she was his true bride. Meanwhile, the real princess was left standing quietly in the courtyard. The old king happened to look down from his window and saw the beautiful girl standing alone. Curious, he went to the supposed bride and asked, "Who is that lovely girl who came with you?" The false bride replied, "Oh, she is just a servant I picked up along the way. Give her some work to do so she will not stand idle." The king said, "I have a young boy who tends the geese. She can help him." And so the true princess became a goose girl. But the false bride feared that Falada, the talking horse, might reveal the truth. So she asked the prince to have the horse killed. The princess secretly asked the knackers, "Help her to nail Falada's head beneath the dark city gate so she could see him each day." The next morning, as she and Conrad the goose boy drove the geese through the gate, she looked up sadly and said, "Alas, Falada, hanging there." And the horse's head replied, "Alas, young queen passing by, if your mother knew this, her heart would break in two." Out in the meadow the princess would sit down and unbind her shining golden hair. Conrad tried to grab some of the beautiful strands, but the princess spoke a magical rhyme. "Blow, wind, blow, take Conrad's hate and make him chase it until I have braided my hair again." A strong wind blew away Conrad's hat and he had to run after it. By the time he returned, her hair was neatly braided again. This happened again the next day. Frustrated, Conrad complained to the old king. The king decided to secretly observe the girl. He hid near the gate and heard her speak to Falada's head. Then he followed her to the meadow and saw the wind blow Conrad's head away when she spoke her rhyme. That evening he gently questioned her, but the princess replied, "I cannot tell anyone my sorrow, for I have sworn an oath before heaven." The wise king said, "If you cannot tell it to me, Tell it to the iron stove, thinking no one could hear her. The princess told the stove her whole story, but the king was secretly listening. He then ordered royal clothes to be brought and had the princess dressed properly again. She looked breathtakingly beautiful. The king called his son and said, "The bride you believe to be yours is a false one. The true princess is the girl who has been tending geese." The prince was overjoyed to see his real bride. A great feast was arranged. During the feast, the king asked the false bride a riddle, describing the entire story as if it had happened to someone else. Then he asked, "What punishment should such a deceitful person receive?" Arrogantly, the chambermaid replied, "She deserves to be stripped naked, placed in a barrel studded with nails, and dragged through the streets by horses until she dies." The king declared, "You have spoken your own sentence." And so the punishment was carried out. At last the prince married the true princess. Together they ruled the kingdom in peace, justice, and happiness.